Hello, hello. It's Sandra from Sandra Bianco Photography, and today I'm going to show you how I'm going to do a full edit with the new Painterly Portrait Collection 2. So we're going to go ahead and get started with Beautiful Win here, and I'm going to go into my beginning brushes. I'm going to go ahead and select Play Them All. It'll take a little bit to run because it's running a lot of different things. But I like having them all in the same palette, so it's really just easy to go through and grab your selections all at once. Okay, so once that's loaded up, I'm going to go ahead and start with the Painterly Perfect Smoother. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to take my brush down to about 60% or so and go ahead and start just smoothing out her skin. Take a little bit on her hands as well. Okay, and then you can see what that's doing there. The next thing I'm going to do is go into my Painterly Skin Tone palette, and I'm going to go ahead and select Painterly Tone 1. And I'm going to go ahead and just paint this onto her skin. You can see that gives it a nice warm overall feel. And then I'll take that down just a little bit. The next thing I'm going to do is go into the skin shines, and they're going to be listed all in this palette. So Golden Skin Shine, and if I click on and off, you can see what that's doing there. Paint just a little bit more down in here. And then I'm going to go ahead and reduce that opacity as well. And then I'm going to go into the Painterly Eye Pop. Change my opacity back up to 100. It's going to give her some nice eye sparkle. And I'm going to go into my Painterly Lip Smoother. And I like to reduce my opacity on this to about 40 to 50%. And that looks good. And then I'm going to go into my Painterly Hair Texture. And I generally keep my brush opacity around the same for this. Just going to go ahead and paint this on her hair. And if I turn that on and off, you can see that that is just making it nice and silky and smooth. And it's also enhancing the highlights just a bit. And I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to go to my Painterly Tone 7. I'm going to go ahead and use this on her cheeks and on her upper lip because it's a little bit off from the bottom. So I just want to add a little bit more hue to that. And I might take up my opacity just a little bit. Okay. So I'll take a little snapshot of that. So that was before we did our skin tone, our little skin retouch, and after. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and flatten this. And I'm going to go ahead and run one of the color bases. So I'm going to go ahead and just run Play Them All for the sake of this video and show you what each one does. Okay, so that is Tabula Rasa. You can see there if I click on and off, which is really pretty. And then that square one, which is going to give you a little bit of a matte. And then under expose, just kind of gives you a nice fresh start. So I'm going to go ahead and use that one, and I'm just going to go ahead and reduce my opacity down to about, let's see, about 35% looks good. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and flatten this. And then I am going to go right down into my shifting tones. And I am going to go ahead and, you can see I just skipped over my artistic tones. I'm looking for more of a color shift on this particular image. So I'm going to go ahead and select green to pomegranate. And you can see what that's doing to this image. So this works really well on an image that has a lot of texture in it already. And you can see it's just changing the colors of the greens and yellows, and it's giving me all the fall feels for this, which is what I wanted for this particular photo. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab a big black brush at 100%, and I'm just going to make sure none of that is hitting her skin at all. Okay, once I'm done with that, I am going to go down into my Painterly textures. And for this one, I'm going to go ahead and run, let's run Da Vinci. And that looks really pretty. So I'm just going to go ahead and mask this off of my subject. And then let me click on and off to show you what that does. And you can also reduce your opacity if it was just a little bit too rich. So I think right there, let's take it down to about 72 looks good. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my finishing brushes. So I'm going to choose Glowing Vibrance brush. And this brush is something that I use on all different parts of the image, but I can use it here into the highlights and these colors to bring out some of that richness. I am going to go ahead and reduce my opacity down, maybe to about 30%. And then I also like to use this to pop some of the colors on the clothing as well. And I can even go over a little bit on her socks just to add a little bit more dimension. And then I'm going to go ahead and go into the Warm the Highlights brush. I'm just going to go ahead and warm up my highlights a little bit. And you can see there, if I turn that on and off, what that's doing. And I can also use this a bit on her dress. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and flatten this. And the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to go down into my Tack Sharp Details brush. And I'm going to go ahead and paint this onto my subject's face. And sometimes I will even go over the hair and anything that I want the details sharpened on. So I want it sharpened on her bow, on her hands, on her skin, and on her hair in this particular image. The next thing I'm going to do is go down into my Light Leak brush. And I'm just going to go ahead and select color of her skin right now. And then I'm going to try to stay in towards the same general direction where the sun is coming in, so you can see it's hitting her more on this side. So I'm just going to get a big round soft brush, and I just want to tap it into the corner. And I may want to just take that down a little bit more, just to give it a little bit more dimension. I can even bring it over just a little bit onto the side. I'm not looking for a whole lot of light or haze in this image, so that tone is good. I can also click on this thumbnail, and if I wanted to, I could pick one of these other tones that are in the image now, once I have it on there, and just see what I like best. So I almost like just something in this area, and then let's take that up a little bit. And that looks a little bit better. It's a little bit more blended for me. Okay, and then I'm going to go into the finishing touches, and I'm going to go into Discover the Details. And I'm just going to go ahead and take that down a bit. And I'm going to invert this. So I'm going to hit Command I. I'm going to get my brush smaller, and I'm just going to use this on my subject. So you can see it's taking down the highlights a little bit and just adding a little bit more dimension to her face. And then I'm going to go into Hike the Highlights. I'm going to take that down a bit. And I'm going to take it down a little bit more. And I'm going to go ahead and mask this off of pretty much the side of the image. So it's just adding a little bit of highlight to the side of her dress. And then the next thing I'm going to do is go into Soften the Shot. I'm going to take that down a little bit, and I'm going to mask this off of my subject. So it's just hitting more of the background. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and flatten that, and I'm going to choose one of my vignettes. So I am going to choose, let's see, Brunette. That looks real pretty. I'm going to take that down a little, and I'm going to also click in my layer mask and mask this off my subject. And then we are going to go down into our finishing tones, and I'm going to choose, let's try Romanticism. Yeah, and I really like what that did to the overall image. It's really warming it up, and I like really what it did to her skin tone as well. So I'm just going to take that down just a little bit and leave it right there. I'm going to flatten that, and then I am going to go down into my Dodge and Burn section. And so I'm going to go ahead and start with Painterly Burn. And it's going to tell you to keep your exposure around 3 to 5%. I'm at 5. And I just want to start going over some of the shadows in her skin already, just to give this a little bit more dimension and that painterly look. Adding a shadow underneath the lip too gives it a little bit more of a pout. And I may just go around a few of her existing little smile lines there, the crease of her eye. And I'm going to try not to make this video too long, but I would even go into like the creases of her fingers. Anywhere there is a shadow on the skin that you want to enhance. And then I can even take this up on her forehead a bit. Let me just turn that on and off so you can see what that's doing. It's just giving her some depth. And then we're going to go into the Painterly Dodge. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go over the highlights. Usually go under the eye a bit. And then I go on the brow bone. And even on the lip a little bit to add a little bit more shine. And you can even go down on the legs and wherever there's highlights. Of course, I'm doing this a lot faster for the video purposes, but that's exactly how I would use the Painterly Dodge and Burn. I'm going to go ahead and flatten that. And then I want to show you the Auto Dodge Highlight Pop. Really adds another dimension to the image, and it kind of gives it that little bit of glow that's on way too strong, as you can see. But I'm just going to go ahead and take my opacity down, and that's going to give it a little bit more dimension. And I'm going to go ahead and flatten that. And then I will show you the before and after on this. So this is just one simple quick edit. So there is where we started, and there is where we ended. Before and after. I hope you guys enjoy the set. Please stay tuned for more videos. I'm going to go into detail a little bit more on the next few and show you a little bit of a heavier edit as well. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.